The night pressed down on me like a held breath, the kind that makes your chest ache before you even realize you are afraid. Rain streaked the windows of the old guest house, turning the city lights outside into trembling veins of gold, and I remember thinking that this was how my life felt at that moment, blurred, uncertain, stretched thin by circumstances I never planned. I had come here with nothing but a small bag, a tired heart, and the stubborn hope that tomorrow might be kinder than yesterday, and I did not know that this night, in a room too small for distance, would quietly change the direction of everything. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that small moments can transform entire lives, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel, The Kindness Chronicles, so stories like this can keep reaching hearts that are still learning how to heal. I had met her earlier that evening under circumstances that felt accidental, but later revealed themselves as necessary. A delayed bus, a missed connection, and a storm that refused to calm had pushed both of us into the same aging guest house on the edge of the city. The place smelled faintly of damp wood and old paint, and the narrow hallways carried every sound as if they wanted witnesses. We were strangers bound by inconvenience, two tired souls looking for shelter rather than connection. I was carrying the weight of a recent failure that still burned in my chest, the kind that leaves you questioning your worth, your choices, and whether you are falling behind in a race everyone else seems to be winning. She carried her own quiet burdens, visible in the careful way she moved and the guarded calm in her eyes, as if she had learned that life could take things away without warning. The problem revealed itself when the owner, apologetic and exhausted, explained that a booking error had left only one room available. There were no other hotels nearby, the roads were flooding, and leaving meant risking the night outside. The room was small, practical, and honest about its limitations, with walls that seemed to lean inward and a single bed placed at its center like a truth neither of us could avoid. She stated the obvious reality of the space with a firmness that suggested boundaries built from experience, and I answered with a nervous attempt at reassurance that was less about the bed and more about survival, about sharing what little comfort the night allowed. There was no romance in that moment, only the awkward awareness of proximity and the unspoken agreement that respect would matter more than convenience. As the door closed behind us, the silence became a character of its own. Rain drummed steadily against the window, and the dim yellow light revealed the exhaustion written on both our faces. I busied myself with small movements, placing my bag down, staring at the floor, pretending that the room was larger than it was. Inside, my thoughts were loud and unkind, reminding me of how far I felt from the life I once imagined. I had lost my job weeks earlier, a quiet dismissal that left no room for protest, and with it went my confidence and my sense of direction. I had told no one how scared I was, how each night felt longer than the last, how the future looked like a foggy road with no signs. Standing there, sharing space with a stranger, I felt exposed in a way that went deeper than physical closeness. Time moved slowly, measured by the ticking of an old clock somewhere in the building and the rise and fall of our breathing. We spoke little, choosing instead to exist alongside each other with cautious courtesy. Yet even without words, stories leaked into the room. I could sense her tension soften as minutes passed, the way she sat on the edge of the bed with her shoulders slowly lowering, the way her gaze drifted from the walls to the window as if searching for reassurance in the storm. In that shared quiet, something subtle began to shift. The room stopped feeling like a trap and started to feel like a pause, a brief intermission in lives that had been moving too fast and hurting too deeply. As the night deepened, the power flickered once, plunging us into darkness before returning with a tired hum. That brief blackout felt symbolic, a reminder of how fragile stability can be, and it stirred something in me. I realized how rarely I allowed myself to be vulnerable, how often I hid behind humor or silence to avoid admitting fear. Being there, stripped of distractions, I felt the weight of my own loneliness. I thought about the people who had drifted away when life became inconvenient, about promises that faded under pressure, about the quiet belief that maybe I was meant to face things alone. Yet the presence of another human being in that small room challenged that belief without saying a word. The bed became the center of an unspoken negotiation, not of space but of trust. We arranged ourselves with care, leaving room where room barely existed, respecting invisible lines drawn by mutual understanding. The mattress creaked softly, and the sheets smelled of detergent and something older, like memories embedded in fabric. I lay there staring at the ceiling, watching shadows move as cars passed outside, my mind replaying past mistakes and imagined futures. At the same time, I felt an unexpected calm, a sense that I was not entirely alone in my uncertainty. Her breathing, steady and real, grounded me in the present moment in a way I had not felt in a long time. Sleep came in fragments, interrupted by thoughts and the occasional thunder rolling in the distance. In those half-dream states, memories surfaced of childhood nights when sharing a bed meant safety, not awkwardness, when closeness was natural and comforting. I woke at one point to the sound of rain easing, the storm finally losing its grip on the city. Dawn was still far away, but the darkness felt less heavy, as if the night had spent its fury and left behind something softer. I sensed her stirring too, a shared wakefulness that did not require explanation. Morning arrived quietly, with pale light slipping through the curtains and illuminating dust in the air like tiny stars. The room looked different in daylight, smaller but warmer, less intimidating. The storm had washed the city clean, and the silence that followed felt like a promise. We prepared to leave with the same politeness we had maintained all night. But there was something else now, an unspoken recognition that we had shared more than just space. We had shared a moment of trust in a world that often discourages it, a moment of kindness rooted in necessity but grown into something meaningful. As we stepped out into the fresh morning air, our paths diverged, but the impact of that night lingered. I walked away feeling lighter, not because my problems had vanished, but because I had been reminded of my capacity to connect, to respect, to offer and receive humanity even in uncomfortable situations. That single bed had held more than two tired bodies. It had held fear, hope, boundaries, and the quiet courage it takes to believe that there can be room for both understanding and vulnerability in our lives. In the days that followed, I noticed changes in myself. I spoke more honestly with people, admitted when I was struggling, and accepted help without shame. I approached opportunities with less bitterness and more openness, remembering that night as proof that not all unexpected situations end badly. Sometimes they teach us exactly what we need to learn. I never saw her again, but she remained a gentle presence in my memory, a reminder that kindness does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it simply shares the space it has and asks nothing in return. If this story stirred something in you, if it reminded you of a moment when a stranger's presence made a difficult time easier, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who might need encouragement, and subscribe to The Kindness Chronicles, so more stories like this can continue to spread warmth and hope. And before this story ends, I have a special request for you. Go to the comments and write this line exactly as it is. there is always room for kindness. Your words might be the light someone else needs tonight.